Yo, what is good, everyone? Welcome back to a special episode of the Renegade Roundtable podcast here. I'm Jeffrey Kirby. As always, each and every week we are joined by Jared. Jared, how in the hell are you?
Doing all right. A lot going on. 1 week away from the draft. Thank God. A lot this weekend, WrestleMania weekend. If people watch wrestling, I'm excited for that. Can't wait to watch. It's always a good watch every weekend. Other than that, playoff basketball and baseball's into full swing. It's a good time of the year.
You mentioned playoff basketball. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that my team didn't have to worry about this play-in tournament.
Okay. Oh, like this guy. Always a hater.
Absolutely, for both of you. And, of course, we are joined, as we do every mock draft show that we do, we are joined by Herb. Herb, what is going on? Thanks for joining us again.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. And like you said, Jared, playoff basketball is in full swing. We got everything going on right now. It's a great time for sports. And I'm so excited for WrestleMania weekend, man.
Oh, so excited.
I'll have to see what I'll be able to do. I might be able to watch night one. We'll see. I don't know. I'm a hype beast. I only watch the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. But, I admit to it. But that's not why we're here. We are here because we are here to reveal our mock draft. It will be their 2.0. It'll be my 3.0. And, yeah, here we go. We always do this 1 week before the draft. This is the last show that we do before the draft. Obviously, next week, no show. I'll be in Pittsburgh at the Draft Nation Draft Show. And Jared, I know he's probably going to be you usually go to like B-dubs or something?
Yep, usually go out, watch, or go to a friend's house to host it. We'll see this year.
And then Herb, he'll potentially watch out for him. They might be doing a live stream. So obviously, if he does, make sure to go and follow him, and y'all will know about that. Make sure to go and check that out. But let's get started here. Mm-hmm. Let's start off our mock draft 2.0/3.0, whatever the hell we want to call 2.50 mock draft. Let's start off with number one, the Tennessee Titans. Jared, we'll start off with you, and we'll rotate down.
Well, I think we all will have this pick. It's Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami, who will be going to the Tennessee Titans. It's been rumored for weeks, months, seems of now. It's the consensus. It should be the number one pick.
I'd also agree. I also have Cam Ward here, number one to Tennessee. I've been on this Cam Ward train for months. I like him as a quarterback. I think he's comparable to Big Ben. Maybe I think that could be his ceiling, but I think it's the worst kept secret now. When he was on a live stream and asked who his top five wide receivers were, and one of them was Traylon Burks. So I know he's just trying to get in good with Tennessee, but I definitely think the pick here is Cam Ward to Tennessee.
I actually have them going with a punter here. No, I'm just kidding. No, I agree. It's Cam Ward. Obviously, like you guys mentioned, the conversation has risen over the last however long. And it seems like Cam Ward is now the consensus first quarterback. Now, I'm still going to be on the table that, in my opinion, this is not the correct pick. I will stay on that. I will stand on business on that. I will stand on the fact that I think that they should still go with Abdul Carter, but they won't. And I'm going to make the prediction right now. Cam Ward is going to flop. I'm making that prediction now.
Okay.
Well, hey. Oh, well, man. That's crazy. Well, we'll see how that goes. Not many people will say it's a shocking take, but you never know. But
we'll see. I just don't, and I think part of it has to do with how is his play style going to match up in the NFL. I think it's a lot of like what Caleb Williams had last year. I get it's being a rookie and all that. There's that adjustment thing, but when you are able to have the kind of success that you do in college, especially with being off platform, especially with the way that you're able to do things off schedule. It's not the same in the NFL at all. So that's kind of where my thing is going to be is he's going to call, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just got this feeling that he's going to go in there. He's going to take a lot of sacks. I mean, they were 28th the Titans last year were 28th in sacks allowed. They allowed 52 sacks last year. And I don't see. And let's be honest, and they signed Dan Moore.
That's not good of that offensive line.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, that's kind of my prediction on Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. But we'll see. Maybe he can make me look like a complete jackass.
Yeah, could be. Never know.
Speaking of jackasses, we could go to the number 2 overall pick, which is the Cleveland Browns.
I think that more the consensus is going Travis Hunter is what I'm picking here at number 2 for the Cleveland Browns. What it seems like, I think the Browns might trade up, maybe back in the first round to get their quarterback, or maybe stick in the middle rounds and get maybe a Jackson Dart or a Jalen Milroe. I don't think they're going to stick with Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco as a starter for their quarterbacks of this upcoming season.
I would also agree. I also have Travis Hunter going here. I think the closer it does get to draft day, I think the more obvious this pick is going to be with the extension to Myles Garrett. I don't think you want to bringing in Abdul Carter and pairing him on the other side of Myles Garrett would be phenomenal. But with Travis Hunter still on the board, a guy who can play wide receiver, a guy who can play corner, you need kind of help at both ends. He's a big need for that team. And with the quarterback thing, man, maybe they do roll with Joe Flacco. He won some games there at the end and got him in the playoffs, but I don't know, man. Their quarterback room is just a big question mark.
Rough for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to agree here. I'm going to go with Travis Hunter here. And like you guys mentioned, with Myles Garrett, I think that conversation with Abdul Carter really faded. Now the question is going to be, how do they use him? Most would agree that you would start him out as a corner and then let him get snaps on offense. However, I think Andrew Berry, the way that he's been speaking, is they think of him more as a wide receiver. Now, here's the big question about all this: is if you've heard the conversation about what Travis Hunter said, if a team says that, hey, you could only play one side, and he goes, well, then I'm not playing, this and the third. Well, first and foremost, that's not a good mentality. That's not a good mentality. That's like me going into my new job and saying, oh, if I don't get to do all this now, then I'm not coming. Like, no, that's not how that works. I understand that you're very talented, but get in there, learn the NFL, learn the process of the NFL, get comfortable, and then we can gradually get you going. Mm-hmm. But we all know these kids nowadays are very entitled.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I think the smarter move would be to let him play at corner, although they do have a pretty stacked corner room already, to be able to learn from Denzel Ward, who is one of the best corners in the NFL, and then play offense. And I think that would be the way that I'd go. We'll see how they handle it. Their defense last year was not great, especially the year before when they were in 23. That defense was phenomenal, and then last year it just fell flat on its face. So,
the New York Football Giants at number 3.
Oh boy, here we go.
The Giants are going to make the giant move and take Abdul Carter at number 3. Why? I don't know why. It's the Giants. They need a quarterback really bad. They have Russell Wilson for a year, Jameis Winston for 2. Those are not your long-term options. I personally would take Shador, but if I'm the Giants, I think the consensus is Abdul Carter.
Once again, I do agree. He's the best talent on the board. If I get the whole New York they're looking for a way to win now. I know the front office might not have another year in them to draft a quarterback next year, but with the quarterbacks in this year's draft, I think at 3 for Shador, Jackson Dart, anybody left on the board is way too high. With Abdul Carter falling to 3, you pair him up on that defensive line with Kayvon Thibodeau, it just gets more nasty. So that way your defensive line can really hit and get back to the quarterback. So at least your defensive front is set for the future, but that front office might not be there to see it. Yeah.
And I got to agree here. I have them going with Abdul Carter here. And let's be honest here. Jared, I know what you said is that you still think that they're in desperate need of a quarterback. The more that I've thought about it, the more that I'm like, you know what? I think you can get away with it this year and get the guy that's supposed to be the best the best player in this draft potentially. And in my opinion, he is the best player in this draft. And you can never have too many pass rushers on a team. Remember when they were winning Super Bowls a couple years ago, or not a couple years ago, when they were winning those Super Bowls, they won it also by they had a lot of pass rushers. You can never have too many defensive linemen. And listen, they were 23rd in total defense last year. They were middle of the road on third down. So, and that's just simply not going to cut it. So you get a guy that's going to wreak havoc alongside with the other guys that you guys mentioned. And oh boy, here we go.
A little off topic here. Aaron Rodgers will be on Pat McAfee shortly today.
So that was the secret guest that Pat was talking about earlier. He mentioned that there was a newsbreaker that was going to be on at 1:10.
So there you go. 1:10.
Oh boy.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, wow.
If we are live, and we get news, oh boy.
1:10.
Oh boy.
It happens every time we do a mock draft.
Oh man.
So we'll see what happens.
Honestly, this does fit because I believe he was traded to New York 2 years ago around this time, or last year, one of the 2 years ago, sorry. He was traded shortly before the draft. So this would fit the Rodgers narrative of him signing today.
Yep.
So anyways, the number 4, the New England Patriots. Unfortunately, I have a friend that's a Patriots fan. He talked to him a bit about it. If Abdul and Travis Hunter wasn't there, they would rather trade down and hopefully get Will Campbell. That's who I pick at number 4. They need a tackle for the future. But if none of those top guys are there, he would like to trade out maybe around 8 or 9, maybe have the Saints trade up to get a quarterback kind of scenario type of deal. But I stuck with 4 and picked Will Campbell. They need to protect Drake May for the future here.
Yep. Real quick before we go, got a comment here from Hunter. He says, Rodgers is retiring and the Browns are trading Kenny Pickett back to the Steelers after Flacco beats him out.
I read that comment as beats him up, so my mind was a little different picture. Shit out of Kenny.
This isn't Draymond and Jordan Poole here.
Oh my God.
But got another comment here from Jay Dunk says, "What's up? What's up? How you doing? Thanks for joining us." All right, Herb. Do we all go 4 for 4 to start out?
I think so. This is, I think, where the draft really starts. New England could go really any way here.
Yep.
They can get Tetero and McMillan, whose range is 4th overall to 32nd. His range is massive, and I don't understand it because dude clearly, aside from Travis Hunter, I think he's wide receiver 1. His talent is amazing, and he would fit perfectly in there with Drake May. I almost said both coming out of Arizona. Drake May came out of North Carolina, but getting him in there and just getting a talent like Tetero and McMillan to throw to, but man, that offensive line's got some bigger needs, and I will take Will Campbell here as well. Personally, I don't think he's going to translate well to that New England offense. He's not long enough to play tackle and too long to play guard. He's just in that terrible bush.
Yeah, I'm going to go 4 for 4 here. Will Campbell, and me and Herb have had this conversation for a while when we've talked about it, kind of what Herb had said. I was not the biggest fan of Will Campbell. I mean, he's going to be fine, but they need a protector out to protect Drake May. It just simply needed to happen. Again, 27th in sacks allowed last year. That can't happen. Got some more comments here. Beats him up.
Okay, all right.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Hunter.
He goes, too long in what sense? Where is he?
Oh my goodness. All right, I'm moving on.
Okay, first off, Hunter, is it you that's controlling your phone or is it your little brother? That's what I need to figure out. He said, I joined late. Who do we have?
It's Travis Hunter.
Well, not me. I have them trading that pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a conditional 7th round pick.
I had them taking running back Donovan Edwards out of Michigan.
Anyways, Number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think everyone. I think this is the consensus pick also for 5. They take Mason Graham, the defensive, lineman out of Michigan. Jacksonville can use anybody here on defense, and they'd be happy. But Mason Graham's probably the best player prospect at this pick, number 5. Great spot for him, and the Jags move on.
I agree. We've gone 5 for 5. You've heard me rave about Mason Graham before and how much I love him and how much I love the University of Michigan and how great they are and how they're on a 4-year streak of beating Ohio State. But yeah, he here in Jacksonville, he definitely is the perfect fit here. Another jersey to add to the collection to support my guy. And you can't go wrong with Jacksonville. You grab a guy in Mason Graham, you still have a bunch of talent still on the board at defense if you wanted to go other places, but Mason Graham, I think, is the guy here.
I'm convinced that you guys hacked into my Google Docs account and did this because, I'm going with Mason Graham here too. Because let's be honest, they were awful on defense last year. Awful. They were 28th in points allowed, 25th against the run, dead last against the pass, 31st in total defense. Wherever the hell defense they want, they get. And you're not going to get an argument out of me. So that's just simple as that. They need it bad. They need it bad. All right, number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. Now this could be where things might get a little interesting.
I went with the consensus pick as still Ashton Genty, the running back.
You like going with consensus pick, huh?
As of right now, for the first 6, 7, I think 6 picks, 7 you could go either way, but 6 picks, I think it's consensus right now. I don't think anything changes. I think after the Raiders, unless the Raiders go make a Raider move, which they do every draft, they don't take Ashton Genty, they take someone else. But I just think they take Ashton Genty. I don't know what the Raiders else they do. They need defense more than anything. Their defense is bad.
Yeah, well, here with Vegas, man, it's just, man, because you can go wide receiver, you can take Ashton Genty, you can grab a corner, you can go Walter Nolan. They could go anywhere here, but I'm going Armand Membu, tackle out of Missouri. There was something I read on Twitter a couple days ago saying that they're really considered taking him at number 6 with, I forget what tackle it was. They haven't gotten under contract yet.
Colton Miller.
That's it, Colton Miller. And you get a guy like Armand Membu in there, a guy that's on that rookie deal. If you don't trust Colton Miller, you have your future right behind him. And in my opinion, Armand Membu is probably one of the top tackles in this draft, if not the top tackle. And with him at 6, I think it's just a perfect grab.
I want to add on to that real quick too, because Colton Miller has been one of the best tackles in the NFL, and I do think that they will get a deal done with him. But I think too is you'll be able to play Membu more at a natural position, which is the right tackle position, and they need a right tackle badly. So I think that would be huge if you got Colton Miller, who's been one of the better tackles in the NFL, who people don't ever talk about. I mean, let's be honest, outside of this contract, no one ever talks about Colton Miller, but he has been probably the best draft pick that they have had in quite some time.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that was back in 2018. So that they need to get him under contract, and then you would go with Armand Membu. However, I have them going in a different direction. I have them going with Ashton Genty here. They were offensively not good last year. 27th in total offense, 30th, or they were dead last in rushing last year, 30th on third down. And let's not forget, who did they just bring in as an offensive coordinator? Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly likes to run the ball. So you get a guy who's going to be a north-south wrecking ball of a running back, and he has been obviously one of the best running backs that we've seen in a while. So I think this makes perfect sense for them. And right now, their running back room, I mean, right now, Raheem Mostert, I mean, he's fine, but he's not a guy that you would want to have as your starting running back. So get a guy like Genty and him alongside with Brock Bowers. You start to build a young core of offensive weapons for Geno Smith. or and beyond too.
Yep.
Number 7, the New York Football Jets.
Well, one pick later, I pick Armin Menbu for this pick for the New York Jets. You know who their tackle is right now? The Jets are? You're going to laugh. Chuks Okorafor is the right tackle right now, I think, for the New York Football Jets. So, familiar name. So, I think put him there on the right tackle spot be a lot better for the New York Jets and set for the future, whoever, if it's not Justin Fields in the future.
Yeah, that's rough. For here with New York, man, with Armand Membu off the board, you really got to go. That's tough. I think I'm going to go with Walter Nolan here. Defensive interior for New York. He's the best defensive lineman, I think, still on the board. I know it might be a bit of a reach, but you still have Kelvin Banks on here at tackle. I think that's a farther reach. Their wide receiver core is in some need, but like I said, man, that Tetron McMillan gap that he's got, I think that New York could definitely be one of the spots here, but I think they want to solidify that defensive line and get them rolling on defense.
I also have them going with Armin Membu because once again, Jared hacked into my Google Docs account. And let's be honest too, this is another thing, one of those kind of old correlations. Who's the new head coach for the Jets? Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn came from Detroit. What did Detroit do a couple years ago? Drafted Penei Sewell, and he's been phenomenal for him. And he think he might want to have that same thing with the Jets and get rid of Chuks Okorafor off the starting lineup because that's not going to be good for you. He got benched for Broderick Jones.
Yep.
That should say something. But yeah, he's going to be a plug-and-play guy, and he's going to go in right away, and he's going to help out this offense. And with Justin Fields and the way that he plays, we all know his running ability. You need to get protection at all costs, and that's exactly what you're going to get out of Armin Membu. And I think this would be a phenomenal pick for the New York Jets. Number 8, Carolina. I can't wait to see what Jared, the way that he steals my pick again.
I was talking between two players between this one. It was McMillan, but I picked with Jalen Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia. I don't know why, but they need someone on defense. I thought they would help Bryce Young with this offense. You know, Bryce Young started to get better towards the end of the season. Maybe give him another weapon, but I just think that defense is still bad on Carolina. So I think starting with Jalen Walker would definitely help out in the middle.
I also agree. I have Jalen Walker here going to Carolina, like you said, to help out with that middle of that defense. Their defense was just atrocious. I mean, if you could get a guy to pair up with Bryce Young, but he's still got quite a bit of quite a bit of talent at wide receiver with Xavier Legette, and I still believe Adam Thielen's there. They just signed. They've got Miles Sanders at running back. Or sorry, he went to Dallas. I lied.
No.
I mean, their defense in points allowed was 32nd last year. Rushing yards allowed was 32nd. Yards per pass was 24th. You get a guy in there with Jalen Walker to just beef up that defense. I think that it's a pretty solid pick.
Once again, Jared stole my pick because I have them going with Jalen Walker. Now, I'm still going to be on the train that they should go after Ted McMillan here. However, this isn't a mock draft of what I want to have happen. It's a mock draft of who I think will go where. And so I have them going with Jalen Walker here. Now, he brings the versatility because he could play all over the damn place. And if you want him as kind of as an edge rusher, let's be honest, they're trying to find someone to replace what they let go of Brian Burns a couple years ago. They haven't figured that out yet. So they need that. He brings all kinds of versatility. So I think that's where they're going to want things with this defense. And let's be honest too. So every year I do a kind of like a team profile kind of thing. And I do a bunch of stats and stuff. The best ranking stat for that Carolina Panthers defense was 24th. And that was yards per pass. That's just say something.
Wow.
They were awful.
Thanks.
Oh, and interceptions with 9. Yeah, it was not good. They need defense, but I'm still going to be on the train of they need a wide receiver, but that's here nor there. Number 9, the New Orleans Saints.
This is where the slide stops. Number 9, I have him taking Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback out of Colorado. Why? It could be all smoke. Derek Carr's injury, maybe not be able to come out the 2025 season. They could go. They should roll out with Spencer Rattler, but I don't think they will. I think they will take Shedeur Sanders. Maybe it will fit with that. I don't know who the head coach of the Saints is, but it definitely
Kellen
will
Moore.
fit in. Kellen Moore, that type of play style he would benefit him. Probably one of the good spots for him, but I don't think they should pick him. But I think they will take Shedeur Sanders.
I agree with the position. I have a quarterback here, somebody they've done plenty of research on, and it will be available. And some people say he won't get out of the first round. I have Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss going here to New Orleans. They need a quarterback with Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr's injury, you still have Spencer Rattler, but they're not the future. I don't think Jackson Dart's the future, but if you can get Jackson Dart in there in that New Orleans system and see how good he does, it could be a waste of a first-round pick. But, man, people are really high on this guy, and I don't understand it. But I think they go Jackson Dart here. I think they've done more research on him than they have Shedeur. I think they like Jackson more than they do Shedeur, so I think they'll take the reach on Jackson Dart.
You want to know why I think people like Jackson Dart?
Why?
It's because he's the quote-unquote flashy quarterback in this draft.
It's very true.
People love flashy, and when you get a guy like that, then there you go. Once again, Jared steals my pick again, and I go with Shedeur. Now, are we getting absolutely caught up in smokescreen or not? That's the question.
Yep.
This conversation has been on absolute fire. But let's be honest here. Derek Carr is not the answer. Derek Carr is like 30. He's mid 30s. I forget exactly how old he is. So, and you got to think that contract, he's still under contract for another year, or I think it's 2 years. And if they want to try and find a quarterback of the future, this is going to have to be the way they do it because they keep putting themselves in cap hell.
Yep.
And this is going to be the way that they try to find their next quarterback of the future. And I think that Kellen Moore might be able to find a way to get something out of Shedeur Sanders. Now, they also could go with an edge rusher here.
Oh, yeah.
That's also completely on the board as well. But I think at the same time, they're going to try and do something here. They're going to get Shedeur and try and hope that they get the quarterback of the future. Number 10, the Chicago Bears.
I went with an edge rusher, Donovan Eziraku from Boston College. Pair him up with Montez Sweat on the other side. Help him out on the defense. I was really trying to. They need offensive line, but I want to reach for one. With like a Josh Simmons, maybe Greg Zabel, but their range is all over the place. So I just went with their best available player, the edge rusher of Donovan Eziraku.
I went with Ashton Genty here. You get a guy in there in Chicago. Get a running back in there. You can do a running back of committee if you like with DeAndre Swift. I am not the best. I'm personally not the biggest fan of DeAndre Swift, but I am a huge fan of Ashton Genty. If you get him in there in Chicago to help out Caleb Williams, I think that completely changes the offense and is able to open up the playbook. You can get runs that DeAndre Swift can't do. You can do a bunch of schemes that you're able to run with Ashton Genty that you can't do with DeAndre Swift.
A couple comments here before we. So Derpy, he just got in here, said Rogers is joining the Pat McAfee show. Yeah, I say we knew about that, but I knew you weren't in here, so we appreciate that. And then that forehead shining, Jared.
Thanks, TJ.
And we have some more breaking news. This is the first pick that me and Jared do not match. That he did not steal my pick from. We went with the same position, but different player. Because I went with Mikael Williams here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think that there's a scenario that they could trade down, get more draft capital, and they could get themselves a left tackle. I think that's a real conversation that could have. Now, here's the conversation. I'm going to go off topic for half a sec. The conversation about people trading down, especially in this, once you get kind of out of the top 10 or, anywhere from about, 6 to 7 down to the middle part of this draft, the values of players are very similar to where you might have to see a little bit of an overpay for teams to trade out or to trade back up in picks, because with the way that this draft is set up, the value of different players are like, there's not like a huge gap in a lot of these positions, once you get like outside the top 4, top 5, whatever. So I think that's going to be a conversation, is how many trades do we see in this draft? Because I don't think that we're going to see nearly as many.
I'm surprised that we haven't had a trade before the draft. Usually there's one, maybe.
This is also the first draft in a while that all 32 teams have a first round pick. There's no team that has 2 first round picks.
It's crazy.
But, and I also think too, that if they do decide to trade down and get a team to trade up, that then they would be able to go out and get a left tackle. It was a little bit, better value. But if they stay here, they get a guy that's going to fill a need.
Yep.
And I think that would be a perfect thing for him. Number 11, the San Francisco 49ers.
I went with cornerback Will Johnson out of Michigan. San Fran needs something on defense. You could say they need a tackle, start the future, but I think the defense is more necessary. They lost a lot of pieces. Greenlaw's gone. Laflanga's gone. They lost a couple players. Will Johnson, best corner, in my opinion, in the draft. It's just the best value pick at number 11. Help solidify that defense.
I agree as well. I have Will Johnson here. Their cornerback room is it's terrible. You get a guy like Will Johnson in there who hasn't let up a touchdown in 2 years. Granted, he only played about a fourth of his senior year, but his junior year film is, it's incredible. Like you said, I agree. He's cornerback 1. I like him more than Travis Hunter. It might be a little Michigan bias there, but I definitely have Will Johnson here. I think they could go multiple different ways at corner with Jahdae Barron still on the board. Somebody at corner needs to get into that room and help out that defense.
I do not have them going with a corner. I have them going with the interior part of the defensive line. I have them going with Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon. Because let's talk about this for a second. And I agree, because I believe in my 2.0, I had them going with Will Johnson. My issue, the only reason why I didn't have him going with Will Johnson here is I think his value started to slide a little bit, which to me is dumb. In my opinion, it's dumb because I think that he is phenomenal. As much as I hate to, anytime I have to praise a Michigan player, but I mean, if we're going to speak facts, we're going to speak facts. And the fact that Will Johnson is a hell of a corner. And the fact that he's fallen, maybe sliding just a tiny bit just because of the potential injury problems and all, to me, that's dumb. No, like he's a good corner, but Derek Harmon, on the other hand, I think he's someone that's starting to rise a little bit. And let's not forget too, who just came back on that coaching staff?
Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh, we all know, loves defensive linemen. He loves getting to the quarterback. And let's be honest, this defensive line outside of Nick Bosa is not impressive, is not intimidating at all. So you get a guy to build within the interior part of the defensive line, and I think that's going to be a major priority for them. It's going to be a major priority, especially considering the fact that Javon Hargrave is not there anymore. Malik Collins is not there anymore. So they lost a couple guys on the interior part of the defensive line. I think it makes sense for him to go with the defensive tackle there. Number 12, the Dallas Cowgirls.
I went with wide receiver Matthew Golden out of Texas. Put him on the other side of CD Lamb. Cowboys could use defense, but Jerry Jones, he likes the flashy picks. I think he's going to take a wide receiver. Matthew Golden would be a nice piece on the other side of CD Lamb.
I also have a wide receiver here. I have Tetero and McMillan. Like you said, get somebody outside of CD Lamb. The wide receiver 2, Jalen Tolbert. I mean, he's not, he's not bad, but he's not somebody that's going to be turning heads like CD Lamb. So you get somebody in there that really helps the offense, helps Dak Prescott, opens up another target. They have Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders. They've got a running back of committee. Now you have a wide receiver 2, a solidified wide receiver 2. And then hopefully Dak Prescott can stay healthy and that Dallas Cowboys offense can get things moving.
I have to agree with Herb here. I have them going with Ted McMillan as well. Now, we talked about the trade up possibility, the trading part of things. I could see Dallas, if they are really, really, really interested in, say, Ashton Genty, I could see them trying to trade up to make sure that they get him. I don't know if he's gone, if they're going to go with the Omarion Hampton route. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But what I do know is that, like what Herb says, they need a wide receiver too. And you get a guy that the catch radius is off the charts. He's a big body guy. Dak Prescott's going to love him. CeeDee Lamb's going to love him. And I think this would be a huge pickup for this Dallas Cowboys offense. And an offense where they ranked 17th last year, but let's be honest, outside of that, for a while, they've always been a very good offense.
Mm-hmm.
But they've also been able to have guys at the outside of CeeDee Lamb to help out with that. As of now, they don't have that. So you get a guy that's going to be able to help out in terms of just catching the football. It's going to be a hell of an offense over there in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Number 13, the Miami Dolphins.
I went with the best player available, safety Malik Starks out of Georgia. Help out on that back end. They lost Javon Holland due to free agency. You got Jalen Ramsey news coming out, wants to be traded out of there. So they definitely need help on that secondary to help out the Miami defense.
I agree. I also have Malachi Starks going here out of Georgia. It's just their defense and their secondary is just going to be atrocious after they trade Jalen Ramsey away. You could go corner here. You have Ashton Davis. And aside from that, you got Artie Burns. And you need somebody in there who could play really fast and really great ball. Malachi Starks is the perfect person to get in there and start that rebuild secondary in Miami.
Same position, different player. I went with Nick Emmanwori.
Mm-hmm.
I think that with the loss of Javon Holland, like you guys mentioned, that's a huge loss. Emmanwori, he jumped out of the gym at the combine, raised his stock tremendously, brings tremendous value because you could also kick him inside and play a little bit of nickel. He could also play inside the box. I think he's someone that could play all over the damn place. Now, why did I not go with Malachi Starks here? Malachi Starks reminds me a lot of Minka Fitzpatrick when he was younger. They had that once already, and clearly they did not want that enough. So I kind of was thinking about that too a tiny bit, but I think with the versatility that Emmanwori brings out and the fact that his name has just been a hot commodity when we talk about the secondaries in this draft, I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go ahead and do it. Number 14, the Indianapolis Colts.
I went with Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Notre Dame. This is the perfect spot for
Notre Dame.
Not Notre Dame. Sorry, Penn State. Jeez.
I was like, wait a second.
Wait. I can transfer.
Hey, hello.
Penn State. It just screams Indianapolis Colts. Screams it. They need a tight end. It's been Mo Alley Cox, and I just always feel like always get a touchdown every time he plays. But other than that, then whoever the quarterback is for the Colts is either Richardson or Daniel Jones. It's a tough situation out of there, but Tyler Warren gives you that good option at tight end.
I agree. I know they just brought Mo Alley Cox back, I think, on a one-year deal, but man, I think Tyler Warren's already in Indy picking out his number and trying jerseys on and learning the playbook. I think this pick is solidified, has been for months. I think this Tyler Warren ends up here in Indy.
3 for 3 here. I have them going with Tyler Warren as well. It's one of the very few picks that I've stayed consistent from my mock draft 1, 2, and now 3. And the reason for that is because, well, they simply need a damn tight end. I don't give a damn about Mo Alley Cox. He's going to come in day one. He's going to open things up. He's going to hopefully make Anthony Richardson's life easier. You would hope. But other than that, I think this would be a huge pickup for them. I think they desperately need a tight end, and they get a tight end. That's going to be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Number 15, the Atlanta Falcons.
And the Falcons every year, and guess what? They need a pass rusher every year. Mike Green, the edge rusher out of Marshall. They just need someone to get to the quarterback. Every time it feels like it's a continuous, topic for the Falcons. Every year they need an edge rusher. Feels like they miss on every edge rusher. Hopefully Mike Green seems like the perfect fit for them. Hopefully helps them out, get to the quarterback, get some sacks.
I have them going a different route. I have them going offensive side of the ball, taking wide receiver Matthew Golden. If you have a rookie quarterback, 2-year quarterback in Michael Penix that you just announced as a starter a couple months ago with Kirk Cousins on the bench, their wide receiver 2 is Darnell Mooney, and their wide receiver 3 is Ray McLeod. They need somebody outside of Drake London that Michael Penix can throw to, and I think Matthew Golden is the perfect option here.
I think this is the year that they finally get themselves a damn edge rusher in the draft. Because, and I have them going with Shamar Stewart. Now, 31st, again, to the quarterback. Smells like all that needs to be filled. Pause. They need someone to get to the quarterback badly. I mean, they haven't drafted and gotten anyone that had a lot of production at the edge rusher position since what, Vic Beasley?
Yeah, Vic Beasley.
Also in high school. So they need a pass rusher badly. Now, am I a fan of Shamar Stewart? Not in a long shot. But again, that's what I think they're going to do, and I think they end up finally going with an edge rusher, and they go and get Shamar Stewart. Number 16, the Arizona Cardinals.
I went with Jahdae Barron, the cornerback out of Texas for the Cardinals here. Why? They need someone on defense to help out. That's all I can give you. I don't know with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I also have Jahdae Barron here, man. The Cardinals can go multiple different rounds to get them a defensive lineman or a corner. I think Barron's slide stops here at Arizona.
I have them going with Matthew Golden. 2 years in a row drafting a wide receiver in the first round? Yes, they are. Because, and the reason, I also wouldn't be shocked if they went with some sort of defensive tackle here either. But I think that with what they've done in free agency, they invested a lot into their defense. So why not invest with the draft into the offense? And I think he's going to be the perfect guy. He's going to be the perfect Z receiver for this team. Because they drafted Marvin Harrison last year. You got Michael Wilson, who's going to be he's a pretty good wide receiver 2 for him. So you get that wide receiver 3 who's going to be able to work inside. And I think Matthew Golden fits in like a glove. Unlike O.J. Simpson. But
all right.
But yeah, I think this would be a perfect fit for him. And I would love to see them go after Matthew Golden. Number 17. The Cincinnati Bengals.
I hate this pick, but I think this will help them a lot. I went with Walter Nolan, the defensive lineman out of Mississippi. Helps out. You still figure out Trey Henderson's contract. Their defense, anyone on defense, pretty much. Just to sum it up, you could take a corner, safety, linebacker, be much better than whatever they had last year.
Yeah, I agree. I have them going edge rusher Mike Green, getting just somebody on defense to help out that defensive line, somebody that can get to the pass rusher, somebody that can get to the passer, somebody that can pass rush, somebody that can just help their defense get a stop and not allow offenses to put up 50 points.
I have them going with Malik Starks, the safety from Georgia. This team has struggled at the safety position since letting Jesse Bates walk. Von Bell is still a free agent. To me, this just makes perfect sense. They've invested so much money into the offense, so they have to build the defense through the draft, and that's exactly what they get.
They have to is an understatement. Need to.
Number 18, the Seattle Seahawks.
I went with Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama. They need offensive line help badly on interior and exterior to help out Sam Darnold as their new quarterback. Protect him. Tyler Booker is really good.
I went with Gray Zabel. Like you said, they need help all over the offensive line. Get a guy like Gray Zabel and tell him, hey, you're playing here.
It's true.
I have to agree with Herb here. I went with Gray Zabel here. They have a major need for a guard on this offensive line, and they get that. And if you say, oh, we have a need here. Oh, I could play here. Oh, we need a need over here. Oh, I could play over here. That's literally Gray Zabel. Me and Herb were texting all throughout the Senior Bowl. And we were very excited to watch him anytime he played because the dude maybe lost once, maybe once. So his stock rose like crazy, and now he's a guy that's going to be a first-round pick. He could play all 5 positions on the offensive line. I would love this pick for Seattle. I remember all the way back in January. I posted a mock draft. It was my 1.0, and I had them going with Tyler Booker at the time. And I had Seahawks fans saying, we are not taking a guard. We are not taking an offensive line. I'm sorry to tell you.
You're getting someone on the O-line.
You're getting it.
You need it.
Badly.
You're going to thank us later. If it works out.
Number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I think we know what I'm picking here at 19. Kirby would know. Jahad Campbell, the linebacker out of Alabama. We've been talking about this since the beginning. It just screams a Buccaneer to both, for me at least. I'm sure for Kirby as well, but I think it'd be a perfect spot for him on this Bucs defense.
I would agree. I have Jahad Campbell going here as well. They still need a linebacker. He's still here on the board. Get somebody in there who is young, talented, and somebody that can help the defense.
3 guarantees of life. Death, taxes, and I'm going with Jahad Campbell at number 19 to the Buccaneers, baby. This was and you know what, real quick, for those that watched last week when we had Joe from Draft Nation on, and I had talked about this pick, and he goes, "Man, that's a fall for him if he goes." I don't know if I agree with that. I think that the range. I mean, there is a range where I don't see a team before 19 to Tampa Bay that's going to take him unless someone like Carolina really likes him over Jalen Walker. I just don't see another team that's going to
maybe Arizona. Maybe that's a maybe. That's a long shot.
But I think that they have other needs too. So, and let's not forget too, Levante David. He's back on a 1-year deal, but he's also 35 years old.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a perfect mentor for Jahad Campbell? It's Levante David. He's instinctual. He's young. He's exactly what you need in today's off-the-ball linebacker. He's going to be able to learn so much from Levante David, and I do think that he's going to end up being one of the top linebackers in the NFL in a few years. There you go. Number 20, the Denver Broncos. And this is where Steeler fans start to get a little giddy, start to get a little nervous, some butterflies in the stomachs.
I went with Omarion Hampton to the Denver Broncos. Help out with Bo Nix with the running game. I think he's definitely a first round pick as well. Omarion Hampton, it just seems I've seen a lot of mocks going to Denver, been maybe outside the first round, but I think he's a first round pick.
I also went with Omarion Hampton here. They have no running back that is worth noting on that roster. Unless you count the draft steal last year of Audric Estime.
Mhm.
But you need a guy like him to come in and just help out Bo Nix, still adjust to the NFL, open up the offense with Amari and Hampton there at running back. And I would like him to go here, so we take him out of any possibility of him getting drafted at 21, because if we go running back at 21 again, I will be livid.
I agree.
I'm agreeing with all of what you just said. I went with Marion Hampton here. Hampton over the last month or so has really become more of a conversation with him being a first-round pick. And I think it is for a good reason, though. He's a downhill runner. He's mean when he runs the football. And they have a huge need at running back. And I think they get one here. Oh, boy.
This is the pick that I really want to happen, and I pray it happens.
Oh, boy.
I pray it happens. Number 21, from the University of Michigan, we're drafting Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman. We need a defensive lineman to replace Cam Hayward, pair him up next to God, I can't remember. I'll remember to forget his name, but great. Just need guys on the defensive line. You got other guys on 1-year deals that we've been signing. You know, they're not really impactful. I think Kenneth Grant will help this defense for the future.
Here at 21, man, I want to bring you guys in closer. This draft board is falling perfectly with guys like Kenneth Grant, Emeka Ibuka, Kelvin Banks, James Pierce still on the board. But my gut wants to tell me that this pick is Kenneth Grant, but Shedeur Sanders is still on the board. I'm going with Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. I don't see in any universe with him still on the board that they pass him up. You get a quarterback that they think is the future. You get him in there and pair him in. He sits a year under Aaron, so he's able to learn. I like Shedeur over most quarterbacks in this group. I like him just as much as I like Cam Ward, but I don't like him enough at 21. So I think Shedeur Sanders is the pick here if he's still on the board.
We will find out in 20 minutes if Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler, maybe.
Herb, you're going to hate me.
Uh-oh.
You're going to hate me for my pick.
I don't know.
I have them going with Jackson Dart.
Oh, God. The guy that I don't want.
Listen, and this pick is tricky. And here's my thing is because, listen, on my board, Kenneth Grant is still there.
Yep.
My gut tells me, and I got a fat gut. My gut tells me that they're going to want a quarterback and that they're going to get a quarterback. Do they get an interior defensive lineman? Do they get a corner? But at the end of the day, I think regardless of what happens with Aaron Rodgers, they're going after the quarterback and they get Jackson Dart. I'm not saying I'll be happy about it. It's what I think is going to happen.
I'd be more happy with Shedeur than Jackson Dart.
I agree. I'm going to be honest.
I'd actually disagree with that.
Really?
I'd actually disagree with that.
How so?
I think that, and maybe I'm falling into the quote-unquote flashiness part of things. The more that I've looked into Jackson Dart, the more that I've looked into him a little bit, the more that I have a little bit of intrigueness with him.
I understand why. I see it. I get it. But, oh, man, I just really pray it's not a quarterback. Wait till next year. But if Shedeur's there, I think they take him. I don't think they hesitate him either. I agree with Herb there. It's very hard to pass up on him if he's there at 21. Now, I don't think there's a trade-up possibility at all. No way in hell. No way in hell. So let's. Is there a trade-down possibility?
Depending on how the board is set up when they get there.
Now, I do want to say there's a possibility where Shedeur falls completely out of the first round and Cleveland gets both Shedeur and Travis Hunter.
Wow.
If Shedeur falls completely out of the first round, if New Orleans does go Jackson Dart and Pittsburgh goes a different route and doesn't get a quarterback, Shedeur could fall all the way to the second round for Cleveland. And if Cleveland takes Travis Hunter at 2, they have Shedeur at 34.
34. Jeez. Oh my God. Wow. Whew. Well, we'll see what happens. I can't wait till next week.
The Cleveland Buffaloes.
Then they just hired Deion Sanders somewhere on that coaching staff, and
oh my gosh.
All right, number 22, the LA Chargers.
He's still on the board for me, and I went with him. I went with Ted McMillan out of Arizona. Pair him up with Justin Herbert on the other side with I think is it McCaffrey? I'm not mistaken. But that's all I got for me. I know they need defense, but Ted McMillan's still there. I don't think they pass up on a target.
I think Jim Harbaugh is foaming at the mouth with Kenneth Grant and Colston Loveland still on the board. I just don't know which one he goes with. I know, and this is tough. I'm going to have them going Kenneth Grant. I think you get a guy in there with, I think, the highest upside and the highest potential in the future at defensive interior. A guy that's big-bodied, can get into the offensive line, can get back there and stop the run. He's not much of an every down passer at the beginning, but I think he can mold in there. I think he's more of a 2-down, not 3-down rusher. But, man, Kenneth Grant back under Jim Harbaugh, I think is perfect.
We had a similar-ish idea, but I went with the other side. I went with Colston Loveland. Mm-hmm. And I think that the tight end position for them is just a little bit more of a need than defensive tackle. And I feel like this kind of feels self-explanatory on a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously the Michigan connection, clearly. Number two, they love tight ends. We all know he loves tight ends. And number three, the Chargers have been getting bit in the ass by a guy in the division by the name of Travis Kelce. And you guys have heard me say on a number of occasions that I think that Colston Loveland reminds me of a poor man's Travis Kelce. I think this would be perfect for him. Mm-hmm. I think this is just a match made in heaven for the LA Chargers. Number 23, the Green Bay Packers.
I think the Green Bay Packers take a wide receiver, Luther Burden, out of Missouri here. Why? I don't know why. I don't know what else to pick for the Packers. They need defense. They could. I just went with Luther Burden.
I also have Luther Burden here. I think it's one of the more obvious picks to help out Jordan Love. Your wide receiver core has been mediocre at best. Christian Watson's been great, but man, these wide receivers are getting hurt left and right. You can't make it through a full season with your whole wide receiver core staying healthy. You get a guy in there like Luther Burden who can really help out on the outside, put him in the slot. He's got great hands. I know Emeka's still on the board, but I think with Green Bay picking, they're going to look and say that they want Luther Burden because that's just how the Green Bay management picks.
Makes a lot of sense.
I have the Green Bay Packers going on the opposite side of the ball. I've been going with corner, and I've been going Will Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Still
there. Wow.
I think that there's a real shot that he makes it down this far. And I think that when Green Bay sees this pick, they are going to run up to the podium and make this pick.
Oh, on your board, wow. Gets past Pittsburgh, though. That's tempting, too. Like, oh, man.
Listen, when my board is set up
over Will Johnson, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have it set up anymore.
Wow. You took Jackson Dart over Will Johnson.
I don't want it to happen, but it's not what I want to happen. It's what I think is going to happen.
I understand. Listen. I'm just imagining that.
Listen, on my board, you get a run on Michigan Wolverines that started.
Yep.
I've been talking to one of my coworkers who, by the way, me and him have a bet. He's going to be in Green Bay for the NFL draft. Me and him have a bet. We were doing this mock draft. I have a copy of it made. I'm going to give it to him. And whoever has the most picks owes, I think it's like $10 or something. And he's a diehard Packer fan. Me and him have talked. And we both agree that the biggest need on this team is a corner. Badly. especially with we don't know what's going to be going on with Jair Alexander. That whole situation has been a debacle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Will Johnson falls because of the injury questions, and this would be a huge pick. And this is going to be a pick that teams regret.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Number 24, the Minnesota Vikings.
Man, the Minnesota Vikings. We always say they need a corner. I did not go corner here. I went with Derek Harmon, the defensive lineman out of Oregon. Beef up that defensive line. And, went with Derek Harmon. And
man, if you're Minnesota, you hate the way this board falls.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from Derek Harmon, I think Derek Harmon's the only option here. So I also have them going Derek Harmon. They've got a couple of edge rushers still on the board, but their need is defensive interior more than edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Derek Harmon would be a perfect fit here in Minnesota. I know you bring in a guy like they brought in Javon Hargrave, and I think they brought in another defensive interior guy, but
Jonathan Allen.
I don't think they're long term.
Yeah, I don't.
Jonathan Allen is 3 years. Javon Hargrave 2 years.
So it's somewhat in the future. I mean, you're paying Javon Hargrave 2 years, $30 million, and Jonathan Allen 3 years, $51 million. But if you can get a guy with Derek Harmon in there on a cheaper deal, younger age,
never have too many defensive linemen.
That is true. So I also have them going Derek Harmon.
I have them going in a tiny bit different direction.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going with another corner. Because, yes, why wouldn't the Vikings take another corner? Because, yet again, that's just what they do. Jahdae Barron, the corner from Texas. In the game of what feels like the yearly game of them taking a corner, here they go.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Flores, their defense coordinator, they run a very complex defense, and he's very smart. You need smart guys on that defense, and he is a very smart guy. He brings you versatility on how you can play him, and I think that this is a easy pick for the Vikings if he's still there. Number 25, the Houston Texans.
Man, this would be a perfect pick. Wide receiver out of the University of Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka. Yes, they need an offensive line help, but I just don't see if Emeka Egbuka's there for the Texans. I have a hard time seeing them passing up on him. Just that Ohio State connection, and I think CJ Stroud would love to have on this team.
I agree. I also have them going Emeka Egbuka here. You don't know what the future holds for Tank Dell and when he's going to be back. So you're already down a man in wide receiver. Emeka Egbuka and CJ Stroud already have that connection. So I feel like once they see him on the board here at 25, they're sprinting to that podium and picking Emeka Egbuka.
I have them going in a tiny bit different direction. I have them going on the same side of the ball. I have them going with Tyler Booker, the guard from Alabama. They need a guard. They need a tackle. Laramie Tunsil got traded out of there. Kendrick Green is gone. Kenyon Green is gone. And also Shaq Mason is gone. So they lost 3 off the guards last year, or from last year's team. That screams that they need some sort of interior help. And I think that, to me, Tyler Booker is the best guard in football, and I think this is tremendous value. Before we go here, TJ here says Aaron Rodgers time. He'll be on the show any minute. Hoping to God he retires, but there are rumors he's in Pittsburgh for this interview.
Oh, my goodness, man. Let's not do this right now. All right, next pick. Where we at? We're at the
26.
Rams.
I just went with safety Nick Muori, someone on the back end. Keep building that defense. Their defense is getting better every year. I like the guys have been drafting. I think they continue to build on that.
I have them pairing up a couple Michigan Wolverines. I have them going with Colston Loveland at tight end. Reunite him with Blake Corum in that backfield. You have Michigan West, and with Colston Loveland there at tight end, they give Matthew Stafford a big target to throw to at tight end. I know you still have Tyler Higbee, but he's a little unreliable when it comes to injury.
Yep.
And I don't think you pass up a guy like Colston Loveland at tight end.
I have to put this comment on here.
Oh my
Gosh.
TJ. My God. Man, he's about to make me put a hat on right now. It's crazy.
Oh, Lordy. I guess we're about to play a game of 8-ball billiards.
Great.
I have them going with Azareye'h Thomas, the corner from Florida State. He's almost a 6'2" corner, who's long, who's lanky, who can come in right away. He's going to play for Chris Shula, that their defensive coordinator. And I just think that this would make some sense for them. I think that corner is one of their biggest needs. I mean, they re-signed Akella Witherspoon, but I think that the corner would be a huge pickup for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. We have the Ravens, the Baltimore Ratbirds here. I went with James Pierce Jr., the edge out of Tennessee. They still need help on that edge little pass rush. They need a pass rusher, and I think James Pierce would be a good fit for the Baltimore Ravens.
I also went with James Pierce Jr. here out of Tennessee because this guy was widely renowned, wildly looked at the beginning of the season as a possibility of a first overall pick.
Yep.
Granted, I know he didn't have that great of a year in Tennessee, but it's the most Baltimore Ravens pick ever. A guy like James Pierce just falls into their lap.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you want to talk about a guy who would be the most Baltimore Ravens pick ever. Here's my philosophy on the Baltimore Ravens. Think of a guy that you really want in the draft. They're getting. There's a guy that I can guarantee that all three of us would really like to see in Pittsburgh. And he's going to go to Baltimore. And that's Kenneth Grant.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the rule of thumb. Pick a guy that you really like to see in your team. That's probably who Baltimore's taking.
It was like that with Patrick Queen. I wanted Patrick Queen too in the draft. But he's here.
Well, now that's your best friend, so you know.
Oh, all right, chill out.
By the way, Patrick Queen, I didn't forget. I still want our interview. Damn it. But I didn't forget.
Mm-hmm.
But with Michael Pierce deciding to retire, I think that leaves a huge hole in this defense. And this is just absolute tremendous value.
Mm-hmm.
Eric DeCosta, John Harbaugh, it's a win-win for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they get a guy.
They get a guy. The Detroit Lions.
Real quick, someone wants to give you a little bit of advice, Jared.
Oh boy. All right. Thanks. Thanks. Anyways, I went with Michael Williams, the edge out of Georgia. Pair him up with Aiden Hutchinson on the other side. They, really will help him out. That's all I got from you. I just lost my train of thought after that comment.
I have, Detroit here. The way the board has fallen, I had them going Donovan, not even going to attempt to pronounce that last name, out of Boston College.
Yep.
It gets you an edge rusher to pair up with Aiden Hutchinson. I remember a couple months ago where this possibly could have been a spot for that Ohio State kid, Jack Sawyer.
Mm-hmm.
He has slowly fallen out of the first round and fallen down. He's not testing.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do anything at the combine. I don't know if he did anything at the pro day, but he's not doing anything. So his stock has kind of fallen a lot to where I don't think he'd be picked in the first round, and it could be a late day 2 pick at
I'd agree
round
with that.
3.
Wow.
But I have them going Donovan here out of Boston College.
We all have similar-ish ideas, but I just went with a different guy. I went with Mike Green here, the edge rusher from Marshall. 26th in total defense, 23rd again to the quarterback. With where they're trying to get, is simply not going. This is not the way to do it. You have to get better again to the quarterback. And let's not forget, too, Zadarius Smith is still a free agent. And I think Mike Green's a guy that's going to be able to come in right away. be very productive. He's fast off the line of scrimmage. His get off is unreal. Him and opposite of Aiden Hutchinson is going to be scary for other quarterbacks in the NFL. Number 29, the Washington Commanders.
I went with Maxwell Harrison, the corner out of Kentucky. Beef up that secondary because Lord knows they need help on that secondary. Besides, I know you got Lattimore, but he's, he was injured. To see how he comes out next season, I think it'll be a good fit for Maxwell Harrison to have in that cornerback room.
Once again, we do agree. I think Maxwell Harrison is already in Washington trying on jerseys and fitting into what he's going to be. I think this pick is solidified here unless Will Johnson slides down here or somebody at corner. But I think Maxwell Harrison here is the pick for Washington.
I have them going with Donovan Eziraku. Sounds like a goddamn Bakugan. The edge rusher from Boston College. This is a guy. I mean, let's be honest. His value as of recently has risen like crazy. Now he's only 248 pounds. So if you're looking if you want him as a 4.3 guy, he might be a little bit on the smaller side, and that's what they do run. They run a 4.3. However, he is someone that can be very disruptive. And I think that Dan Quinn's going to find a way to get the most out of him. And so I think this would be a very good pickup for them.
Mm-hmm. Number 30, the Buffalo Bills. I went with Shamar Stewart, the edge out of Texas A&M. I just think they need help more on that defensive side of the ball.
Man, Buffalo here. I have them going with Trey Amos, corner out of Ole Miss. I think this is where his range kind of starts, maybe a couple picks higher. But they need a corner. They need somebody that can help out that defense and somebody who can help out that secondary. They have Dane Jackson at corner and Christian Benford. Sorry, Kirby, I'm using your team breakdown as well, looking at rosters, and they just need somebody in the secondary. They could go wide receiver here, but there's not the way the board's fallen. Jaden Higgins, Elik Iomaner. I don't know if you really feel like reaching for a wide receiver here, but I think this is the kind of where Trey Amos could start to land.
Mm-hmm.
I have them going with Maxwell Harrison, the corner from Kentucky. Ran out of Lucas Oil Stadium with that 4.28 speed. And I think overall he's a well-rounded corner to me. And I think that this would be a perfect complement. And you'd mentioned Christian Benford. He just signed a 4-year, $76 million deal. So I think that this would make a lot of sense for them to get someone opposite of that. Or if there is a wide receiver that they wanted to go after, they could. Trey Amos is another guy that's a possibility. But I think they get someone with a lot of speed.
Mm-hmm.
Number 31, the Kansas City Chiefs.
I went with Josh Simmons, the tackle at Ohio State. I just picked somebody, and they needed someone on the offensive line. Nothing else more needs to be said.
I have a tackle here as well. I have Kelvin Banks Jr., who has slid very far here to 31. I also think this is another guy that could be offensive tackle 1. There's a couple offensive tackles on this board in the first round that are just phenomenal guys. And if he slides here at 31, Kansas City is absolutely praying to the gods because they finally get a tackle who can help out their offensive line and just try to erase what happened in the Super Bowl.
I have them going with a tackle, but not an offensive tackle. I have to go with defensive tackle. I have to go with Walter Nolan.
Oh, he's still there.
To me, that this pick was tricky based on needs versus who was available. Because let's talk about this for a sec. They need an offensive tackle, yes. But my thing on them is I don't know if I've had this conversation with myself in my head. I can see a very high scenario where Kelvin Banks falls out of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I also think now I love Josh Simmons. How do we think? I think there's a chance that he falls out of the first round. So I think there's that. And then you look at the defensive tackle spot; they need that as well. And Walter Nolan is someone that his value is kind of slid a little bit, in my opinion.
Yep.
But when I watched the film on it, I have no idea why. The dude is a hell of a defensive tackle, and he can stop the run. He's a threat as a pass rusher. For his size, he's fast and twitchy. I think this would be very nice. You pair him next to Chris Jones. Oh Lord. Number 32, the reigning defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles to round out this mock draft.
I don't know what they need. I just went with an edge rusher, Nick Scoreton, because why not? They need. I think they lost some defensive line help or D-line help, and I'm sure that will help them out.
I also went with a Texas A&M edge rusher here. I went with Shamar Stewart. Like you said, the rich are just going to get richer. You need an edge. You just lost
Josh Sweat.
That's who it was. You just lost Josh Sweat. You need somebody in there that can help out the edge again. And I think it's perfect. You have your pick of the litter here. The Texas A&M boys at least. But you get that edge rusher, Shamar Stewart.
I have them going with James Pierce, the edge rusher from Tennessee. Josh Sweat has gone to Arizona. Brandon Graham retired. This becomes a big need for this defense. Pierce is going to absolutely come in and feast on this defensive line. And I feel like they're going to want to continue to build on what they did last year in terms of getting into the quarterback as quickly as possible. And I think that this is what they're going to want to do. And that's exactly what they get. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The mock draft 2.0/3.0 has been complete. We are 1 week out.
Can't wait.
There is an A-Rod spotting according to OMG, he is alive. Because we all thought that he was the Undertaker. Rising from the dead.
He is not in Pittsburgh for this interview.
No.
But yeah, other than that,
anything else?
I feel like part of us wants to stay live so we can have a live reaction to this, but I feel like they're gonna drag this on for
it'll be for at least an hour.
And I won't be able to because I have to leave for work.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I'm already dressed in my uniform.
Yeah.
To go deal with jackass inmates for 8 hours.
But
Malibu right now.
Huh?
I want to ask something because I saw, Herb was. I saw your tweet earlier. I think it was yesterday. Someone saying about, the Steelers are not getting this guy because they have a top 30 visit with them. Blah 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 blah. Can you elaborate of what player it was that you guys were trying to talk about? I forgot what it was about, but I just saw that. I was like, I wanted to ask you about it.
I think the names on there: Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Luther Burden, and Emeka Ibuka. Now, I did when I quoted, I said TJ Watt never had a pre-draft visit. He was not a top 30 visit, and somebody said that it was different GM, different time, which is true. But I think this draft is a little out of the ordinary for the Pittsburgh front office, so I wouldn't count out people that aren't top 30 picks or top 30 visits. I still think they're an option.
Oh, I agree. It was just weird when I saw. I was like, okay, have we never drafted a guy without a top 30 visit? I'm sure we have.
Boy. 1 week. Probably around this time next week, I'll be probably sitting in my hotel room, probably watching Draft Day, the movie. I feel like, am I the only person that does that every day on Draft Day? Watches Draft Day?
Nope, I watch it also every year.
I haven't watched in a while. I haven't done it every year.
Yeah, it's a thing that I started to do back in 2019. It's just every year I watch Draft Day. But oh boy, 1 week out. I cannot wait to get this over with.
Agreed.
Again, if you guys are going to be in Pittsburgh, make sure to get tickets to the Draft Nation Draft Show over at the Rivers Casino. If you cannot make it to Pittsburgh, then your next best option is to follow Herb. And if they do a live stream, to go and watch his live stream. make sure to go and do that. Make sure to go and support the friends. Go support the kid. But until then, anything else we want to get off our chests before?
Nope. I'm trying to listen to what he's saying.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's do this. If he does sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers here fairly soon, maybe we'll go back on live and we'll do a live reaction to it. But till then, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Have fun. Happy Easter for those to celebrate. Until then, peace out.